Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a 2022 launch from Breitling. This is the Breitling Superocean Automatic 42, part of a series of watches that came out in 2022, paying homage to the 1960s era reference 2005 slow chronograph. And while that vintage watch was a chronograph, and this modern watch is assuredly not, both of them share a similar style and diving utility. And you can see that it's in evidence, starting with the 42mm case in stainless steel. It's only 12.5 millimeters thick, which makes this one of the thinnest dive watches you can buy. Lug-to-lug case only. The watch is 47.6 millimeters. If we include the end links of the bracelet, the total distance across the wrist is 50 millimeters. And then we have a nice modern and broad 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now throw the watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can really see how thin it is. This is why I say it's one of the thinnest dive watches you can buy. If you're the type to wear a dive watch with a suit, very common by the way, you'll be able to fit this underneath tight sleeves and dress cuffs. You can also see across the wrist it's fairly narrow and that the lugs underneath are tightly downturned and tapered. So this is a watch I can envision wearing well on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters. Again, my wrist is 16 and I have plenty of clearance on either side of the lugs, so it's not overlapping my wrist in any way. The bracelet is a Breitling professional style, so we have this slash-cut 3-link design with a conforming end link to better mate it to the case without gaps. Polished centers, satin shoulders, satin outer faces, removable links fixed by screws. Breitling diving clasps have gotten a lot better in recent years, including much thicker gauge steel, trigger release instead of simple flip-up clamshells, and then internal sliders that allow for much more precise adjustment than in the past, and without the requirement that you use a strap tool to make those adjustments. As you can see, push button slider, 15 incremental adjustments, each of 1 millimeter for 15 millimeters of total adjustment length. This is great for fine-tuning the size. It's also great if you just want to pull it out all the way for use over a dive suit or even a thick winter coat or sweater. Now the case is simple. We have tapered lugs that have a lovely little vintage-inspired bevel on their edges that runs all the way through the mid-case. And then we have a satinated, longitudinally brushed mid-case. We have pointy style crown guards, a nice nod to 60s dive watches and not just Breitling 60s dive watches. Screw down crown with a combination of media blasting and polish. This is a 300-meter water resistant watch. You can see the knurling of the bezel alternates between satin and then that's the recesses, and the outer portions of the bezel are polished. It has a nice sharp knurling, so you can grip it easily with hands that might be sweaty, wet, or gloved. And let's listen to the detent. Really one of the best I've encountered. It feels as if it has all of the refinement of a Rolex, but with a sharper, louder click, which I really appreciate, and it is 160, or 120 clicks, I should say. So 120 is preferable because it allows for a more precise alignment of the minute hand and the luminescent bezel pearl. Then we have a ceramic insert so that the insert itself is not scratch prone the way older aluminum anodized inserts might have been. Breitling has more or less made the transition completely to ceramic inserts. We'll take a look at this watch in the dark, and you can see it's easy to line up that luminescent bezel pearl with the minute hand, and that all three hands here are lumed, which is a nice feature to have because it lets you know in the dark whether your watch is still operating. And if you're using it as a backup dive timer, that could be the difference between life and death, so that is always good to see. And you may be surprised to know that not every dive watch has a luminescent seconds hand. Now we have a flange outboard that acts as sort of rehaut, dished and sloping down to the dial base. The dial is silver white with a matte or opaline frosted finish. We have blued indices, and then we also have blued hands with a little sort of, one might say, tan varnish to the outer tip of the seconds hand. Not much to see on the reverse side, but you can see that there is a screwed-in case back with satin and polish. In here we have a Breitling caliber 17. which is a Sellita SW200, which is Sellita's version of the age-old, trusty, and reliable ETA 28242. So bidirectional automatic winding, 38-hour power reserve, 4 Hz beat rate. It has a stop seconds or hacking function. It is adjusted in 5 positions, and it is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. So this is the chronometer grade of the SW200, and then all of that water resistant down to 300 meters or close to 1,000 feet. And this movement is very, very tough, very durable, and it can be serviced anywhere in the world by almost any experienced watchmaker, which is nice to know on a utility-style watch. So reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.